Hey everyone, today I'm going to be making a video that's a little different from what I usually produce, and it's going to be a review of sorts of Istaria Chronicles of the Gifted. It's going to be a constructive criticism type of thing because a lot of videos I've seen about Istaria don't really have an opinion. They're mostly just walkthroughs or gameplays in general, and I just think that it's important to point out the things that have made me and other players of the game quit or not really think it's worth sticking around for. I want to start off by saying I do not hate Istaria. I've been playing Istaria on and off since February 2012. I've seen it improve more or less, and it's close to my heart. However, a lot of things are wrong with this game, some that could be easily fixed and others that cannot. I'm going to start off with the positive aspects of the game, then proceed to derail my points as I continue. I will also be brainstorming ways that these things could improve with some examples from currently successful MMORPGs. When you start off Istaria, you have a lot of creative freedom. I look back wistfully to being a new player on Istaria, when I could sit and ponder between Lunas and Helion, design my dragon how I wanted to, and had tons of ability quests to discover and complete, and learn more about the game as I continued. A lot of people can feel this way about a new game, but when you finish certain games and go back to make a new character, you have a lot of new options and storylines to follow. Personally, I've never played a bipedal character, so I don't have too much to say on the matter, but this creativity seems to dwindle after your first few characters. Draconically speaking, you truly hit in-game when you have a T6 layer, maxed out your layer shaping and crystal shaping, and have ascended to Ancient, both Lunas and Helion. I've never reached this point in-game because I've always gotten too bored and quit before I finished. I personally love a good challenge. I don't think it should be made easier, but it seems to be made deliberately tedious and annoying with the amount of traveling back and forth you need to do. I know that's the whole point, but it's taken to an embarrassing extreme. The run to Astarion is a perfect run in my opinion. It's not far enough to make you reconsider your subscription in it, but it's not an easy route. Perhaps you can have a level cap at 40 or so, preventing practically no damage done when you run through mobs level 25 to 30 unscathed as a level 80 or higher. Something interesting Guild Wars 2 has done is lower your level depending on your area. If the mobs are level 50, but you are level 100 in reality, your level, and therefore HP, will be temporarily lowered to 50 or so to keep a challenge. If a developer team, or dev for short, were to reconsider the routes of adult rite of passage and the regular rite of passage, then things could be a lot more entertaining and enjoyable. This doesn't only affect rite of passage as well. It could be applied to any quest line that could be a lot more work. This is a butterfly effect type thing. You have options that lead to different routes than something different, or have two different roads leading to the same outcome in a quest. The Astarian lore is great. I love reading all the stories NPCs shared, so I wouldn't really complain about that. The game as a concept has amazing potential. I mean, it's the only game I can think of that allows you to play as a dragon instead of going around killing dragons. It doesn't make any sense to me that more games don't embrace this concept because it would do great in the market. The thing that doesn't sell Istaria, however, is everything about the game. I already listed some issues that can board out an existing player, but when someone curious in the game visits the website, you're greeted with this. I'm currently taking a course called Design, Multimedia, and Web Technology, and in the beginning of the year we were taught how to make an attractive, visually appealing website. Things like this are what hook potential customers, and Istaria does not follow any of those guidelines. Here are some examples of websites that do have this. Istaria has had an issue with company ownership in the past, being tossed like a hot potato in its early years. The original ownership of the game passed rights to Vertrium, and by the time this shitty company gave it over, there were too many issues that could be fixed. In my opinion, I think Istaria should spend more time fixing the building blocks that the original owner failed to do and work up from there instead of jumping to the U2 engine, but I'll talk about that later. It's like taking flu medicine. You can treat the symptoms, but you can't fix the issue. Istaria falls in this philosophy a lot. When you join Istaria, you have training points, or TP, which is a great idea by the way, and have a variety of options to deposit these points into. But in reality, as a dragon, you can only bulk up to be a spellcaster or a tank, depositing your points into teeth and claws rather than spells. The music is pleasing, but it should be updated. A lot of places have the same soundtrack as different maps, but Peak of Storms being updated is an amazing start, and I personally adore the new soundtrack. This could be applied to most, if not all, of the tracks. After writing this note, I discovered that an artist has been commissioned to rework the music, so yay, progress! Istaria is very discreet about their plans for the future. First, the U2 engine was supposed to launch in the beginning of 2016, and that plan, while being confirmed to happen, has not had an estimated time frame since 2015. A concerned player has to personally dig around in order to figure out this question: where is my money going? Istaria having a cheap $10 a month subscription wouldn't be an issue if I knew exactly where this money was going. Well, maybe not exactly, but a broader idea. A one-answered response of U2, or the dev team, which isn't fully true because a lot of the developers are volunteers, or ad revenue, etc., is not specific enough for me. This game has been running for over a decade and has seen scarce improvement, even with loyal, consistent customers. It's gotten to the point where the lack of development has made me trust Vertrium less. With a lack of transparency in the game, it's almost impossible to estimate how much the game makes annually or per month. Because of this, I can't make a calculation on how they could theoretically ration the profits, and I spent about an hour digging and came up empty-handed, other than a few interesting points. These points being, there's a small developer team, but even with its size, it cannot support all of them full time. This is pretty reasonable to believe. They don't make a lot of money, but that isn't a reason to hide behind the curtain in shame. Things like Patreon could really benefit the game, in my opinion, as older players who no longer desire to play could see the game's behind-the-scenes progress and frequent updates rather than paying $10 blindly. Again, this is just my opinion. Personally, this is something I would love to see and would consider pledging to. Istaria needs more advertising and some more love from the developing team. If the community were to grow and the game got more money, they could take off pretty well. And the fact that Istaria isn't inherently available for Mac players or Linux players, instead have to go through the rigmarole of Wine and Play on Mac and other unreliable softwares, turns people away. It's also not available on Steam, which I think could really improve its chance of profit. Again, it's great in theory, but it doesn't seem like it's getting the brainpower it needs as far as plot, game mechanics, advertising, and gameplay goes. Nevertheless, Istaria will remain to have a little place in my heart. It's a unique game, though sadly one you can grimace at. And those are all of my points. I'm considering making a part 2 of this video because not all of my points were made, as you can see here. So, maybe, I can't guarantee there will be another video, but hang in there. Perhaps there will be, depending on what you guys want. If there's a demand, then I will. But for now, that's all. Thanks for listening.